Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate known faces and even the unknowns. Today, I have quite simple message that I would like to share, and that is basically use Bitcoin everywhere you can. Earn Bitcoin, save in Bitcoin, pay in Bitcoin, think in Bitcoin. Most of these things are already obvious to many of you, I guess. However, the paying is the one that doesn't have enough attention from my perspective. So I will focus on paying slightly more than on the others. And there are two reasons that I would like to talk about why you should pay with Bitcoin. One that is hard to get by heart is that when you are paying with Bitcoin, you don't need to have fiat. And fiat sucks, as all of us already know. So it's better to have everything on fiat, in Bitcoin and not losing the purchasing power with the fiat. That's one reason to pay with Bitcoin. And second one is that if we won't be using this Bitcoin, maybe it will not be even possible later on. However, let's get from the speculation and start from the beginning. I believe that most of you already know, and not only people here at BTC Prague, but even elsewhere already know that store value in fiat doesn't make any sense. There are many assets that are outperforming the fiat, and it's not Ethereum, by the way. But there are stocks, there are real estate, and, for example, gold, and many other stuff. Beat dollar or other fiat is not that difficult. However, it's close to impossible to beat fiat, to beat Bitcoin. There's no single asset in the world that would be beating Bitcoin. You already know that, and actually, most of the world already know that. Bitcoin is here for 16 years and counting. Bitcoin price is skyrocketing. Bitcoin is not everywhere, but it's quite frequent in the media, especially in Czech currently. And those articles are not stupid anymore. People understand how Bitcoin works and what problem it solves. Governments are stacking sats, and everything looks nice. So my question to you, even though I don't expect you to answer, is: are we winning? Are we winning, son? Does the Bitcoin evolve in desired way? And I don't know. Maybe it's the right way, but I believe we can do better. Many conferences, not this one, are full of people in suits. Nothing against suits. Suits are fine. But the amount of politics, it's kind of inevitable, so I'm not against it, but it's indication of something. By the way, Jack doesn't look like fitting in the screen, and not only him is super awesome, so it's nothing personal against those people. However, what I'm criticizing is this narrative that Bitcoin is not for paying. So yeah, buy a nice Bitcoin tie, show us that you like Bitcoin, but never pay with it. Use the dollars. Dollars are for the payments, Bitcoin is for storing, but it's completely nonsense. This feels like we can just sit on the Bitcoin, wait for 10 years or something, and then we'll be wealthy and the job done. But what will you do after those, let's say, 10 years? And I'm afraid that if we are not using the Bitcoin peer-to-peer, as it was intended, we might have an issue. If most of the people will be using Bitcoin only through some parties, exchanges, banks, and other entities, and other gatekeepers, they can set the conditions under we are using the Bitcoin. And the Bitcoin will not be permissionless anymore. And when it's not permissionless, it will, at the end, lose the value anyway. And maybe it will keep the value growing, but they can increase the fee. And if you don't have the network to interact with, you are forced to use those services. So even though there are many beautiful services, I believe that what counts in the end is the number of people who are able to use Bitcoin sovereign way. Here's another meme. I think this one is from BTC sessions. It's basically the same message that I was trying to express. So the talk is named Living on Bitcoin. One reason is because I had to put the name like half year ago, so it evolved from that. But what I mean by living on Bitcoin is to using it everywhere, everywhere you possibly can. Whenever you are using Bitcoin, you are building the network. You are like one of these nodes, and with each interaction, you are either strengthening the existing connection or you're creating the new one. Either way, both ways, you are making your personal network stronger. And you are learning how to use new tools, you are experimenting, you are improving the processes, you are increasing your reputation within the network. I really like this quotation from Warren Buffett, which sounds like evil against Bitcoin, but I think he's actually right. When all the Bitcoin in the world is held by one person, it has no value at all. The purpose of Bitcoin is that there are so many people that can interact with it. Without that, there's no value. And you can have the feeling that the world is so big and your action doesn't matter. But even if you take care about your closest neighborhood and you can kind of insurance against the above mentioned issues. So you can find the way how to get services for Bitcoin and get the food and accommodation and stuff like that. But even without that, you can have, let's say, one proxy. We say it in Czech, Vexlák, it's for German, someone who is exchanging for you, let's call it proxy guy. And it can be regular people, someone you don't know. Those people don't even exist. And there should be 3 of them, but the third one is not rendering. Yeah, now there he is. It's not real people, but it can be anyone. Your friend, your girlfriend, your wife, your father, mother, whoever. It's your network that you are building. And the more those vexlers, those proxy buyers and sellers that you have are increasing the volatility, not volatility, the liquidity, the amount of money that you are able to exchange and purchase whatever you need, even though it might be in the fiat if needed. In other words, this is a quotation from my grandpa, who is not living anymore, but he was saying, prodělek je taky kšeft, meaning even loss is a business. And the idea behind this, you don't need to get fee on every transaction. You don't need to earn every single time, but you are getting something else on top of that. You are, again, building the network, increasing the reputation, and sometimes it's more beneficial than the one moment what you get from the one specific transaction. Sometimes we see like Bitcoin is accepted here and it feels like, well, good, finally someone can pay with the Bitcoin, but most people are not using that. If you imagine a situation, I was many times in that situation when I was paying to someone and when I ask you, hey, do you want to pay with Revolut or with the Bitcoin? The answer was almost always like, let's use the fiat, use Revolut, it's simple. I would love to listen about Bitcoin maybe one day, but not today. For now, let's settle it in fiat and we can talk later. And the talk never came afterwards. So, and when I do a different way, I said, sorry, I provide this service for Bitcoin only, then it's not a big deal at all. People just pay you in Bitcoin, learn it, figure out that it's easier than they thought, and the problem is done. And next time, it's, again, even easier for them and for you as well. So I think it's called minority influence, and the same scenario happens when you have 10 people and one of them is not eating meat. And when he has no value in the community, they will just put him off and go on the lunch without him. But if he has some value, the group will probably change the restaurant where there's something without meat. Same applies when you have 20 people speaking your language, and then there's one who is not capable of doing that. Everyone will follow this radical minority. When you are investing into Bitcoin, it doesn't have to be always financial way. You cannot increase your investment when you have already everything in Bitcoin. Of course, you can use various financial services and leverages and loans and everything. But there's another way how to leverage your interest in Bitcoin, and that's, again, your reputation. When you are convincing people, it's riskful. But when you force your friends, your family into Bitcoin, after some time, like 4 years, if you survive the 4 years, they will probably come to you, and it happens like 50 times to me, and they are really grateful that you did that. For example, my first Trezor I have purchased because one friend of mine came to me, didn't explain me anything, and just told me, hey, here's the Trezor. If you are serious, you need this Trezor, and later on, you will understand. And that's exactly what happened. After a few years, I had complete picture of why Trezor is important in the stack of Bitcoiner. But before that, I had no idea. But I had this privilege to start from the day one the right way. And I believe that you, as most of you are Bitcoiners, you have better knowledge than your friends in this area. So I think it's good to be brave and tell them what you really think, and they will be grateful later. Another small story, what we do with our friends and colleagues is that even when the restaurant, for example, doesn't accept Bitcoin, you can still use those, your proxies, and pay directly to them, and they will pay for you. And then, when you are paying almost everywhere, as mentioned in the beginning, you don't need to have barely any fiat at all, because you have the group of people, and I'm glad that most of these guys are here today, so thank you, folks. And that's basically my message. So pay always with Bitcoin whenever you can. Don't be afraid to invest your reputation, and embrace your minority influence if you trust it's the right way. It's risky, but you can be beneficial not only for you, but for the whole network that you are building this way, and you are becoming ungovernable, and your Bitcoin remains the permissionless. What can help you on this way is Vexel application. So if you don't have any friends, you can download the app, and it helps you to find your peers. If you don't have any friends, another thing that can help you is 21 in Czech Republic, but it's 21 word or 21. Basically, building the community. So find your community in your area. If there's no community, run one. It's not that difficult. It's just, hey, here I am. Be the beacon, be the lighthouse who is saying, let's grab a beer and discuss the Bitcoin and move ourselves forward. And of course, use Trezor. You know, even if you have just few sats, one day it can be quite a lot of money. Don't worry to start early, even though you don't have that much money. And please buy the BTC only edition, because these numbers are important. Because, yeah, we will see how many people are interested in Bitcoin One. Most people don't even know that it exists. So, thanks for your attention. Enjoy the Bitcoin, enjoy the Prague, enjoy the BTC Prague.
Secure your BTC Prague 2026 ticket at the lowest possible price now.